Rooster Teeth has dropped a ton of RWBY content recently, and upon a viewer's request, let's have a gander at this newest scene and the teaser trailer for Volume 9 and analyze where this newest season could be headed. Hi there everyone, Lars here from Camille's Harem, not just a podcast for novice writers by novice writers, but also a YouTube channel by novice writers for novice writers, because writing is an adventure, it's more fun with friends. And ever since Penny's untimely and still frankly ill-advised demise, and Team RWBY conveniently being blasted off a magical platform into an endless void, and waking up in Wonderland all for the sake of plot, oh yeah, and Jean and Neo are with them as well, fans have been left wondering what will happen in the upcoming season, Volume 9. And now we have definite confirmation that this magical island will be a kind of bizarre wonderland. The trailer definitely gives off those vibes and tells us outright actually what this volume is going to be all about. Discovering who you are. The recently released scene where RWBY is lost in the magical jungles really hammers that point home. I will analyze this scene in just a moment, but first I want to address the issue of the show taking a season to focus on who the characters are and what they have become. Self-reflection within any story is something that I personally enjoy. I think it can be very cathartic and rewarding for the audience as well as your characters to do such a thing. However, timing does play a critical role in pulling off this kind of plot-heavy introspection. Personally, I would not have placed an entire season like this one so late into the game. And when we still have 2 relics to retrieve, an entire kingdom stranded in the middle of the desert, and Salem on the warpath, flushed with victory, there's a lot going on. So pumping the brakes right now to have this kind of a season, I don't know if I would put it in Season 9. However, even I have to take into account that Volume 8 really changed the entire cast. Again, I have aired my grievances with the last season and how I feel like we've been retreading a lot of the waters that have already been crossed long ago. If you want to know what I said about those things, you can check out my massive review of Volume 8. You can also check out how I would have rewritten the Battle of Atlas. I'll leave those links in the description. So, it's a good thing, honestly, that we are getting this kind of an insane journey right here because, well, we frankly need it. We need the characters to have a chance to reflect on what has happened. So I think it's really good that we're getting it at least now rather than never or even later. Because you can't survive such a crushing defeat like what we got at the end of Volume 8 with Atlas coming down and destroying 2 cities without reflecting on what is going on. So just pushing on with the story without any sort of reflection, well, that would honestly rob the characters of their autonomy and just make it seem like they're pawns within the plot. And we don't want that to happen because a story lives or dies by its characters. So in order to have the story be healthy and full going forward, yes, we need this volume right here. We need these adventures in Wonderland, and we need a time of great personal introspection and self-reflection on the part of the main cast. Now, let's turn our attention to the special scene that CRWBY revealed to us. It opens up with RWBY being lost in the jungle, stuck in an endless loop with a goat-screaming bird and unable to get any closer to the massive tree that is at the center of the island or break out of this weird loop. She gets frustrated, and with a very fresh, very recent, very soul-crushing loss that she just experienced, RWBY breaks down and cries, huddling under a tree for some respite from the sudden rains. She sees a mouse pulling at what appears to be a weed, and she offers her hand to the mouse, scoops it up, and pulls on the leaves to reveal a massive wedge of cheese in the ground. The mouse gratefully begins chowing down, glad for the favor. RWBY expresses that she wishes the mouse could return the favor, and it responds to her saying it could certainly try. The young huntress obviously freaks out, but RWBY being RWBY, she quickly adjusts to this scenario and carries on a conversation with the mouse. She introduces herself as Ruby Rose, and the mouse asks, how does she Ruby Rose? Flustered, RWBY has trouble explaining that it's her name and that she's a huntress, but the mouse just doesn't understand. So she asks the mouse what its name is, and the rodent replies that it's still too young to have a name. So RWBY names the mouse Little. She then asks Little if it has seen the rest of her team or Jean, but Little has not seen any other humans. Or if Little has, they don't know how to describe it because the mouse understands RWBY not as a human, but simply as what she is. And there we have it. A conversation highly reminiscent of just about anything you would find in Alice in Wonderland. As a result, many fans and theorists of the show have concluded that this must be Remnant's version of Wonderland. And I agree, but not that this is the Wonderland that will serve as some sort of political satire, but more as a purgatory for the main characters as they face who they are, what they were, and what they must become in order to break free and face down a triumphant Salem and her minions. Here's the thing, this Wonderland will be a warped reflection, but an oddly honest one, of each of the characters who are stranded on these lost, mystical isles. Take for instance what we see here with RWBY. She is clearly lost and in need of direction. She has lost confidence in herself and her ability to make the right decisions. Therefore, RWBY is stuck in an endless loop going nowhere. The island also rains right as she cries in sadness and frustration, and it stops the moment her interaction with Little takes a turn for the bizarre, and she forgets why she's crying. She forgets to be sad because she's completely overtaken by wonder. This Wonderland reacts precisely to the emotional state and very likely the thoughts of the people lost there. Hence why this is a purgatory. None of the friends can progress and leave until they have resolved the many questions and problems that are weighing them down. Problems that, if I'm going to be all honest, they created for themselves. I'm not entirely certain what emotional or mental state Monty intended for his characters to be in when they arrived at Wonderland, but this is the season that promises to sort everything out. For RWBY to move on, she must deal with the loss of Penny, and the conflicts she started with her own bad choices in Atlas. She has to reconcile with the girl she once was, as the teaser tells us, and she must overcome her fears and doubts, moving on into a very unsure future. Perhaps this is what the blind-looking monster is all about that we see right here. But she also has to solidify her own identity as a huntress. Because, well, what's in a name? In Greek mythology, and indeed in many cultures, a name indicates destiny. But we're not just going off of any given name right here. Little's conversation suggests that a name encompasses actions and a state of being. RWBY will have to determine for herself what her destiny is going to be. This is a fascinating foil to Cinder's character arc and her conversation with Pyrrha about destiny. Cinder has been clawing out what her destiny should be ever since Season 1. RWBY has been, however, playing the role of hero ever since Season 1, but that wasn't enough to defeat pure evil when it really mattered. In order to win this war for Remnants, RWBY must make up lost ground as quickly as she can and take her own path in chiseling out of the chaos who and what she will be. This is a journey that all of her friends will have to undertake. A lot of people reasonably are looking to Jean and the suit of armor that we see within the teaser, that this is probably part of his journey right here. I think it's easy to infer that Jean, like RWBY, is struggling under a lot of the same questions, doubts, and trauma. They share much of the same loss, having lost people that they really cared about. But his own personality and goals mean that he will have to embark on a very different journey from RWBY's. Now then, what about the other girls? What about the rest of Team RWBY? Well, after reflecting on it a little bit, this is what I think. Weiss needs to confront her family's legacy. What she has done to overcome it and how she treated her mother, brother, and sister back in Atlas are still very much relevant. She has to determine if there's more to her than just being a Schnee. Blake has to confront her past as a renegade and freedom fighter, her aspirations for Faunus to live in equality, and what that will even look like. She's been playing not even second fiddle, but third fiddle to everyone else since Volume 6. So it's time that this girl rediscovered the leader within herself. And Yang. Look at how this show massacred my girl. Ever since the retcons of Volume 5, Yang has not been herself. Seriously. And the teaser even hints that Yang is just going to be at peace with whoever she is. And very likely this is just going to fuel shippers' theories that this will finally be the volume where she and Blake get together. Personally, I think that we're still getting baited with this ship. I don't know what is going to happen there. What I would love to see for Yang, however, is her confronting her own horrible choices back at Atlas, and the fact that she isn't as physically strong as she prides herself to be. She must rediscover that her greatest strength has always been that she was the moral and emotional backbone of their team. That though she is a warrior, she must be a warrior who once again wears her heart on her sleeve and winks in the face of danger. Wouldn't that be nice? And Neo will discover that she is the best ice cream combination in the world. Hopefully this season will give us proper context and backstory for the assassin, because so far Neo has been the best story not told so far. But you can only go so far not telling her story. So that's the way I see this. Volume 9 will be RWBY's purgatory in Wonderland, a necessary pit stop along the plot's length, allowing the characters a chance for introspection, personal growth, and renewal of resolve. We can expect this volume to get wacky, and I really hope that they lean into that and that they let the characters' personalities cut loose and shine in this volume. My biggest concern is that given all the other moving parts in the series by now, that this trip to Wonderland will be rushed, just so that way we can take care of setting up things at Vacuo for Volume 10 and giving us yet more insights into what Salem and Cinder are doing. And let's be honest here, Volume 8 was extremely divisive. The fan base has not been heavily celebrated since in this last cycle of comic and fan conventions. Many people have checked out of RWBY altogether. And I really hope that this volume delivers on great character progression, because that's what's always been at the heart of this show. Awesome action sequences, supported by loads of fun character moments, and these fine girls being the best of friends. If Volume 9 cannot deliver on that front, or give us meaningful character progression and introspection, then our trip to Remnant's Wonderland will equate to nothing more than bizarre filler. And I pray to the brothers that will not be the case. So, there you have it, my analysis based on what we have seen in the newest RWBY footage. Again, I think it is very important for characters to be given moments of reflection, but it must be meaningful and help them progress in order to justify the deviation from the action and drama. Best yet, actually, is when you can blend all of those introspective elements together with action and drama. That is what I hope to see with Volume 9, and I really hope that they pull it off. In the meantime, as we wait for 2023, if you are looking for more reviews, analyses, or general writing advice, please check out our other videos here on YouTube. You can also listen to all of Camille's Harem discussing writing over at our podcast, found on Podbean, iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, the works. We have writing exercises over at our Pinterest page, and we would love for you to join our ever-growing community of novice authors. Links for all of that and more are down in the description below. And until the next video, y'all, thank you for joining us on this adventure that we call writing. Watch out for talking mice without names, and tschüss.